We're recording. All right. Okay, so welcome to another installment here of the ACE Awards. I guess it's the new form of our talk show here that we're doing on Zoom since we can't meet in person anymore. But today we want to talk a little bit about musical theater. We have four very, very gifted musical theater performers here who are going to introduce themselves in a second, but they're all in different stages of their musical theater career. And we wanted to get their perspective on what it's like to be a performer, the ins and outs of musical theater. What do you need to work on if this is something you want to pursue at any level? Like how do you get that role in high school as opposed to how do you become a professional, all the way from how do you become a professional musical theater performer? So I will start with just let's go youngest to oldest, and again, I'm the oldest, so these are all very young, but everyone's young here, but youngest to oldest as far as grade and experience goes. So just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Marion. I'm a junior, almost gonna be a senior in high school. I go to Oak Ridge High School in Oak Ridge.
Hi, I'm Heather. I go to Farragut where I'm graduated. I don't really know what's happening, but I'm rising into college. So yeah.
I am Anna, and I'm also technically a graduate of Pace University Musical Theater.
Hi, I'm Tristan. I'm 24 and living in the adult world of musical theater.
Professional actor or professional performer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's just start. Let's go in reverse order now. Tristan, let's kind of just start with the background about what are you doing, and we'll kind of go around and like what is it that you be curious to hear what you do on a kind of a regular basis, like what's your day to day and going out and
during the quarantine or like
well like before the quarantine and what we expect life to return to be. Like what's it like being a professional musical theater performer?
It is difficult. It's challenging. You're always working towards your own personal goal. So right now I am in Jersey Boys in New York, and it is incredible. I do 8 shows a week, but it's also, I'm in dance class. I'm in voice lessons. I'm in acting classes for TV and film, all before the 8 shows, like before the show at night. I know that there are people who are much better dancers or better at soprano than me, or just more comfortable in front of TV for TV auditions. So it's constantly being a cheerleader on your shoulder of okay, we can do this. What should we do today to better ourselves during the day? So pretty much, let's say a Monday, I'm up at 9, maybe I have an audition, and I'm in yoga. I'm in a dance class. I'm scheduling my next voice lesson. I'm looking at acting classes online. And then, I'm in Manhattan and take the dance class, take the workout class. And then, by the time I look at my clock, it's 5 o'clock and I have to be at my theater at 6:30. And then the whole thing just repeats the next day. I can schedule my own time between, let's say, 9 to 5. That's my time before the show. But it's a lot of holding yourself accountable to better yourself, because no one's going to help you but yourself. No one's going to tell you, hey, you should take this dance class. It'll be great for you to get in front of this choreographer. Or, hey, you should take this master class because you don't know when down the road you're going to be in front of this director. So it's really what you do with your time. So that's sort of what being in a show 8 times a week is, there's a lot of open space during the day. And so you get to do what you want during the day. And whether that's hanging out with friends, getting coffee, because Saturday and Sunday you're at the theater from 1 to 11, because they're 2 show days. So it's just a lot of what do I need to do today to better myself for tomorrow, sort of thing. Because, you know, I mean, you don't know what audition is going to come next. If it's going to be a dancer first track in a Broadway show, you have to be able to be at that caliber when you audition. And, you know, you'll get the audition the night before. And so there's no, oh, let me work on my double turn. You know what I'm saying? So it's constantly being your own pushing yourself, and knowing your limits. And then, you know, there's the whole like, oh, how many hours of working out and dancing can I do before showing up to do the show? Because that's the real job, where I'm getting paid to make sure that I can do the show 8 times a week. And it's, I think the hardest job of doing the show 8 times a week is making sure you're able to do the show 8 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, keeping yourself healthy, eating the right things. Yeah, so that's sort of my everyday in normal life.
So, and these 3 ladies have heard me, unfortunately, probably many times talk about that, you know, the idea of separating yourself. You know, you're all really talented, but you're eventually going to go to a place where everyone else is very talented as well. And you got to find those skills and you got to have to drive to separate yourself. And that's just by putting in the day to day.
Yeah, it's you're on your own path, and you know your own limits, or levels at different stages. You know, it's, oh, I should really get into this lyrical class because I need to work on that, but not necessarily everyone else has to. It's really just being comfortable in who you are and what you want and what you need, and just looking inward and saying, hey, you know what? I do need that ballet class. I do need that tap class, you know, because it's happened to me more than once where I go 2 months without taking a tap class, and then I get an audition the night before for 42nd Street. And you don't want to be in that place. You don't want to be in the place of like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to, do I remember, you know? So it's really your own path. Yeah.
That's why I'm constantly working on my double turn. I don't know about the rest of you. It's always good. I always can pull that at any time. So I guess, okay, we'll bring Anna into this. Anna and Tristan, both, you can talk about this, but Anna, what's college, what's your day-to-day like at college right now? You're at Pace in New York.
Yeah.
So Anna and Tristan, feel free to jump in a little bit as well about what was your college experience like, and you know, go ahead, Anna.
Okay, cool. So it is a pretty hardcore schedule. Senior year is a little bit different just because senior year is like solely focused on showcase. But a day-to-day would be like a 9 a.m. jazz class, 9 to 10:30. Then we would go into a TV and film class. Then we would have our showcase class.
So I'm sorry to jump in real quick. Even in musical theater, you're doing music and you're doing theater, film and TV.
Yeah.
Class.
So we do TV and film for the entire year, our senior year. Our acting classes kind of vary. So like your freshman year, you have freshman acting. Your sophomore year, you do more along like the older classic plays, and then you do Shakespeare your 3rd year, and you do Strindberg. And then you do TV and film your senior year. So it's a pretty kind of laid out kind of acting training that we receive at Pace, which is really cool. But yeah, you have your dance, you have your acting, you have voice lessons every week and vocal coaching. So you have a 45-minute voice lesson, and then you have 15-minute vocal coachings, which are pretty cool because that gives you the time with an accompanist to record different pieces that you're working on for the week, or to record accompaniment for tracks. So it's pretty cool for self-tapes and stuff. But I'm sure that you can attest to this, Tristan, but I think that it's been quite the benefit going to school in New York, at least, just because you're so close to that kind of life. You see a lot of the industry, and a lot of people in my class, they will book off. We have somebody that booked Caroline or Change, and so she's doing one of the leads, Emmy, in Caroline or Change, and we have a couple people in Hamilton, and so it's interesting because you really get to see kind of the the industry kind of upfront and personal, and you get to go on auditions yourself. And sometimes your professors will throw you in appointments for different things. So it's really interesting to see kind of the industry up front and close and personal. But yeah, it's like it's a hardcore schedule, and it is really hard because everybody is really good, and it's really hard. You have to kind of focus on not comparing yourself, while also just lifting and supporting each and every one of your classmates.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, it's funny. I don't think I knew that like a musical theater school was that varied. Of course, I didn't go. Full disclosure, I was a Latin major in college. I was a classics major, but I got bored. I was an economics major, got bored, took some theater classes, fell in love with that, graduated in Latin, and moved to Chicago and just started going through the grind. So it sounds like you're getting a little better tutorial on. I just went to Chicago and just literally sucked at auditioning for years until I started getting work, and then started to, got with the right people. And I think it's, I've got years of mistakes I made. I think it's great to hear these things that you can do in college, and why it's nice to get what you're getting in college. So, all right, well, Heather, we'll let you talk for a second. So you just went through the process of applying and auditioning for colleges. So talk to us a little bit about that. What's that like?
Okay, so like in the fall semester, I was taking 2 dance classes a week because I cannot dance, still can't, and that's why I'm an acting major, not a musical theater major, but it's okay. And then I was taking private voice, and I also had improv twice a week, and I had my musical, like, was in the fall. And then, so I did all my pre-screens then. And then in the spring, I got called back for all of them, so I had to fly out to Chicago and audition. So I was
Unifieds?
I did Chicago Unifieds for 6 schools, and then anywhere that did a live video audition for like the callback thing, I did that. And then I did a few, like I did North Carolina School, like the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. I did that one, drove to it. And then I did Emerson by itself, just because I couldn't, like my brain could not do with auditions like 4 times a day. But I did most of them in Chicago. But yeah, so I had like AP calculus during the week and like all kinds of really hard classes, and like I was taking a Pellissippi class too. So I had a lot on my plate during the month of February. I was not in the city of Knoxville for any weekend, like at all. And I missed so much school, and I'm not failing anything anymore, but I was. So it was a lot. It was really scary, and I've never like been much of an auditioner. Like I just kind of like, I'm like, I know everyone at my school. They know I can sing. They know like I'm like hardworking. Like it's like a different atmosphere when you know the director. And, I got those like blank faces that are just like, that was good. Thank you. Like a lot. And it like, you're like, what does that mean? So yeah, Roosevelt's audition, it just like felt right because like they were asking questions about myself, and I was like asking about their program, and they were giving me answers and everything. And so I just like knew that was the right fit from the audition, and I don't know, kind of felt it. And I think I got rejected everywhere else but like 2 schools. So it was like kind of, it worked out perfectly. So like they wanted me, I wanted them kind of thing. But yeah, so it was hectic, but we're here. I'm hopefully going to school if this whole crazy pandemic thing slows down. So
Oh yeah, you may not be moving in, at the normal time. We don't know yet, right?
yeah.
Heather, I think it's so important that you were able to have that feeling and recognize it, and that sort of was a match. So many people don't know. They just sort of go with, okay, I got accepted here, great. I think it's so important that you had that feeling and you were so well received and you felt a certain way. I mean, there's thousands of kids auditioning now for colleges. I was the class of 2017, and we had maybe 800 to 1,000 auditions, like people auditioning for each school that year, or the year of 2013. I'm sure it's twice as many now. I'm sure there's 2,000 to 6,000 kids auditioning now. So
I think it was for Carnegie Mellon. Like, I obviously sent in a pre-screen just like for the heck of it. But they said there was 6,000 pre-screen videos, and then they took 2,000 live auditions, and I was one of them, but I obviously didn't get it. But they like choose 12 kids. So it's like 6,000 to 12.
6 girls. Let's talk about the girls.
That too.
Girls.
It's like 0.001.
Yeah. Out of those 6,000, I bet you 4,000 were women and 2,000 were men. And you're competing against 4,000 brunette women who look just like you. Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to, that's how it is.
No, that's how,
That's how it is. So it's important for you to have like centered yourself and said, wow, I feel really good at this Roosevelt audition. I really feel receptive, and so that's really awesome that you had that, because you're young. Like, it's hard to feel that sometimes because you're so nervous and you're just I want to get in, but to have felt that response is really important. So go you. And I'm glad that you got in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Marion, now that you've just heard how hard it is to get in, let's talk a little bit about high school and your experience. Well, first of all, like, we've seen Marion the last couple of years. Last year you played Annie at your high school. Yes. You got the lead. This year you played Ariel in Little Mermaid. Got the lead, so right? Fun. Yeah, and so you're used to having success in high school. So, what's it like to try to be a high school star performer, but also be a high school student?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, last year, I think the workload was so much more than and just because last year was the first time I had ever been like a lead role in a musical, and so it was just really hard to take on that with like just the workload of school. And so I was really stressed, and it was hard to like push through, but I got through it and it was like fine. And so like this year I was much more prepared for it. And so like everyone says that like junior year was like is your hardest year in high school, but like for me it was sophomore year, because like I had to take on that stuff with all of the stress and like all of the pressure and stuff. So but like all of my friends like helped me get through it, and it was a really good like learning experience and like opportunity to grow and everything. So, but it's really fun, like doing high school theater and stuff. So anyone who's watching that's like younger and in middle school, you should definitely like join your high school's theater program.
Well, I think it's also
it has a theater program.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of it, and kind of what Tristan was talking about, and it's what Anna's about to get into as well, is that I think having that heavy workload, at least you to help develop, and you're doing the extracurricular of theater, it helps develop that work ethic that you need once you go off, no matter what you're going to do, even if it's not musical theater or theater at all, you still got to develop that work ethic. So, so let's open it up. Do you guys want to? Does anybody have any questions for anybody else who's on the screen that you think might be informative? If not, we can just kind of start talking just about things that you would recommend, stuff that you do. Is there some secret or magic? Yes, Anna Smith, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, it's for Tristan. When you graduated, did you have a showcase, and did you get an agent through that showcase? What was your process kind of becoming a young performer after college?
Yes, I had a showcase, and I got an agent from my showcase. I think it's valuable for you. Are you going to showcase now? How does that work now?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Because
my senior year spring semester was the most important semester for me, because Syracuse does a semester in New York City. So that's another reason why I went to Syracuse, because we spend 3.5 years in Syracuse, and then our last semester is spent in New York City. It's called the Tepper semester. So it's sort of for people from Texas and California to be like, do I like it in New York? And we're sort of, now you guys have 4 years in New York with all of the resources of Manhattan. But senior year, we have a ton of, senior year, spring semester, we have a ton of classes with casting directors and agents and directors and choreographer. We just have a whole, that's our like, I mean, we had school on Sundays. That's how jam-packed they just like injected us into New York. But so we, and you know, you audition if you want and you whatever. So we had our showcase, and then I got an agent from that. What was helpful for me, I was like, if you could find videos of showcases, Pace has a ton of them. I've seen showcase videos of previous, years. Syracuse has a ton. I was able to go to one. I think I went to, I forget what school it was, Elon or I forget, Baldwin Wallace. I went to Baldwin Wallace's showcase. And it was so important for me to see what the audience sees. I think it's really important. And I always hold myself thinking, okay, this is what I want to put out, but what is the viewer going to actually see? Yeah. And so it's important for me to show my soprano and my belt. And I actually incorporated some of movement into my belt song. So it was like an up-tempo belty song, and I put some movement in it because I wanted agents to see that I can dance. I put a soprano ballad in there because it was the exact opposite of what I did. And I could also show that I could sing soprano. So I think it's important now that we have so much time to just look up as many videos as you can. I just did a cabaret in New York, my solo show, and I was looking up Sutton Foster's Lincoln Center solo show. I was looking up because you have all these creative ideas, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't focus your energy and sort of channel it into a focused piece. So your energy isn't all over the place, because that's what happens when we're creating. We're just like, we should do this, oh my gosh. But it doesn't really do much if we're not able to focus and hone in on what exactly we want. So my advice would be totally just hours I spent looking at what the viewer is looking at, because I'm not an agent. I don't know what they're looking for. You're not an agent. You can only go off of what other people do. And, I would start majorly stalking actors.
And also, just because of the quarantine, a lot of the senior college programs are just putting up digital showcases for everybody to see.
That's the only way.
Very
theater, Jersey Boys, as of right now, isn't even opening until June 8th. And that is we're still going to have probably social distancing in the theater. We don't know. I can't say, but there's just, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think that there's a way that people are going to be able to sit in the theater and watch a showcase right now.
Yeah, so we're postponed until September 21st.
Oh, so good. Okay, good.
We somehow got a spot at New World Stages, which our showcase is April 27th technically, which is kind of funny, but it got postponed. So it's cool because we have a lot of time to kind of figure it out. But
right. I think it's important from the second you walk on that stage, people are making opinions about you. The way you look, the way you dress, your hair, your makeup, it's just a vibe. You give off a vibe. And the more auditions you go to, the more you'll realize, this director thinks I look like his sister that he doesn't like, or you know what I'm saying? It's just a vibe you give off, and it's nothing personal. And I'll have a director who say, oh my gosh, she reminds me of me when I was younger. Cast her, please. It's just we are in a business of opinion. It's all opinion. And the director could be in love with you, but if the artistic director doesn't love you, then where are you at? You know what I'm saying? So I think you have to really stay true to you. If you are the kind of girl who wears cowboy boots and jeans, wear cowboy boots and jeans. Don't, I wore the plain colored dress and the nice heels, that was sort of what we did. But I think Pace does a really great job of individuality. I mean, Syracuse does too, but I was in my own way, and sort of that way of just like, I have to wear the dress, and I have to wear, like, I have to look very polished. And it's good to be polished, but you can be polished in your own way. And so for me, that was a dress and heels. For you, maybe it's cowboy boots and a skirt, you know, who knows? But it's just that from the second you walk on that stage, you know, calm, cool, collected, confident. Well, I don't know then if you're not, you are going on the stage. So yeah. Yeah.
Anna, what state are you in as far as you're preparing for your showcase?
So I have my package. I finalized my package right before quarantine started. Luckily, we have a pretty amazing showcase teacher. His name's Bob Klein, and he is like fantastic. So right now, at the moment, every Friday we do a Zoom showcase run where we have a couple agencies that will come on, and we will do our showcase for them on Zoom, which presents interesting challenges, but also great benefits as well. But so that's kind of what we've been doing right now. A part of my showcase is a duet, so I can't do it on Zoom. So I have another song, but it's same with you. It's soprano and then like a belty kind of funny kind of thing, but no movement. We don't want to show that for me. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now.
I think also something that'll be great for you, and you have all this time, stalking actors and seeing who they're represented by and what kind of vibe their agency is. So my agent is, there's a lot of triple threats in my agency, sing, dance, act. There's a lot of agencies that are just actors. There's a lot of agencies that are, I'm a singer first, and if you submit me for this singing role, I will book the job. Don't submit me for dance, book me, you know, get me an appointment for a singing call, and I will book the role. You know, there's just different agencies, and my agent wound up being the perfect fit. But, you know, you have to look at, this is what you do. Look at yourself and say, okay, what other performers out there are like me?
Yeah.
My strengths. And then you stalk them. And you look at their website. Also, I would recommend getting a website by the end of this quarantine. And you look at their website and you find what agency they're with. And I have a list. Of, I mean, if you want to contact me in general, but I literally will never get rid of this list, because when I was working professionally before I graduated, when I got my equity card, I looked around in my cast and I was like, okay, she's with that agency, she's with that agency, he's with that agency. And so you just put together a list of who you respect in the industry and who they're represented by. So you have so much to talk about once you get an agent appointment with them. So they see your showcase and they check off a box like, contact me if you want to be represented by us, or we're interested in you. And you have a pool of people who you know are with them. And so that's so I would say you can use this time in the quarantine to just, preparing yourself for what would come, which is, you know, which agency is interested in me and what other actors did they represent who I respect. And that's how you sort of gear your path. So
let me ask this question real quick. I just and this is for Tristan and Anna to coach up Heather and Marion here a little bit. When you enter college, are you starting to think this way from the get-go, or do you just start as a freshman and just absorb? Or do you start planning it out from like, you know, here's my end goal and I need to start thinking about that right away?
Well, I think it depends. Specifically for me, and I'm sure Heather, when you go to Chicago, it's a completely different world for you, and it's bustling, and it's, you know, just completely different from, you know, Knoxville, Tennessee. So I think, and also I think that freshman year of college is definitely that time where you're absorbing and you're kind of trying to figure out how to live as a young adult. So I think it's probably half and half. You're obviously thinking about that in your training, but I think a lot of it is trying to figure out how to kind of be your own person in your own new place. At least that was for my experience, and also something that the heads of our department were very adamant about. They wanted us to figure out who we were as people, while also training, for the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say freshman year, I was just wrapped up in the culture of college. And then by the end, I mean, I don't think I was thinking about agents. I don't even know if I knew what an agent was. I mean, I knew what an agent and a manager was, but I didn't know much else. But I think if the end goal was to work as a professional, I was doing each step to sort of plant the seed sort of thing. So I knew about summer stock freshman year.
Yeah.
That's what I made my tiny goal to be. Okay, book a summer stock theater for the summer. The next year it was, okay, how can I book a theater that gives me EMC points? I don't know if you guys know about EMC points and all of that. That's a whole other
We can get into it in a sec.
exhausting. And then my junior year, I said, I want to graduate with my equity card. And so what little things did I have to do to get my equity card? And so then by the time I had my agent showcase, I had a resume with, I'm in the union. They're little goals that you prepare yourself to feel your best. Yeah.
If you don't mind me jumping in, I think that's a good point, or at least I think it's interesting. And it may be different for everybody, but I like what you're saying about, because we're really big about, being in the moment and living in the moment and doing that, but you still have to have an end goal in mind.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you can't just show up and ride the wave and it'll take you to where you want to be. You've got to actually have at least some sort of plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your teachers will take care of you and they'll advise you and what have you, but what you two I'm getting at is that you have to have at least some sort of outside initiative of your own, to get you where you're going.
Yeah, your professors aren't going to hold your hand. You have to kind of set your own path and set your own journey, and your own end goal and how you're gonna do it.
Okay, all right. Any other questions here, Marian or Heather? Do you have any questions for the elder? I mean, you guys are in your 20s and you're the elder statesman here, but go ahead.
I have a question. Okay, so I'm majoring in acting, but I'm a singer first. Like, I really like that. I know that about myself. Like, I just can't dance. Like, what does that mean for me as a musical theater performer, as an acting major? Like, will people receive me as a screen actor only? Like, what does that mean to have, okay.
No, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, at least from my experience, it doesn't really matter where you come from, A, and where you go to college, A, and it doesn't matter what your major is. So we have acting majors that have gone on. You know Joey Lavarco?
Yes.
In He Valley? In Jersey Boys, and her Jersey Boys. I'm pretty sure he was an acting major at Pace.
Oh.
Was he? I don't know. But he went to Pace. And there's just a lot of people that have graduated from acting that have gone on to do musicals and do musical theater. It doesn't matter, in my experience, and I think just across the board.
I think that it's even more important to be an actor first. I think it's the only thing that's going to set you apart, because everyone has a good voice, and everyone can sing. Everyone, there's a what?
I do not have a good voice, but go ahead.
You know what? There's a ton of women who can sing higher than me and belt higher than me. And they can sing lower than me and belt lower than me. I know that the only thing that will set me apart is if I know what I bring to the lyrics and the musicality. So I think it's important. I think it's even more beneficial that you're an actor first. I went to Syracuse because there was a ton of musical theater programs that I was, accepted in or looking at. And I said, I don't want to be a cookie cutter, great, 10 at singing, dancing, acting. I need to set myself apart because there's just too many talented people. And so I went to Syracuse because the acting majors are in the same acting class as musical theater. So I was held up against the same standard that the actor first majors were held at. And so I was in scenes with actor firsts who don't want to, not actor firsts, acting majors who didn't want to sing. They didn't go to school for singing. They were going for acting for, to be an actor. And so I was held to the same standard as them. So I think it's great that you got in for acting, and it'll be very beneficial. Something that I know is that you can, I think you have to pay for it, but you can absolutely be in voice lessons.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing.
I would try and at least try an audit, or just text or email, sorry, not text, but like email the heads of musical theater and ask if you can have a voice teacher, because I know a couple of commercial dance majors and acting majors at Pace will have a voice teacher through the musical theater department. They just have to like pay a little bit, but they have, and it's at the school.
And Syracuse, I don't know about Roosevelt, but Syracuse, you can re-audition by the end of freshman year. You get into to be with the musical theaters.
Yeah, did you audition for musical theater and acting, or just acting?
I auditioned for musical theater. I got called back for musical theater, and in my audition they asked, would you be wanted to be considered for acting as well? And I was like, I just want to go to your school. I don't know if that's like the wrong answer to that question, but like I definitely just like said that, and I didn't say, oh, I prefer musical theater. But they had like a dance call. It wasn't necessarily even a hard dance call, but like the look on my face, like I know that that's what was it. So it's okay. Like I don't think I'm ever going to be a dancer, and I don't think musical theater training for 4 years is going to make me a dancer. Like I'm already like 4 years of my training isn't even going to be like high schoolers right now. You know what I'm saying? So like I think I'll be an actor singer, but like I don't want to miss out on the like other parts of it with like being an acting major.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I came into Pace not really, I mean, I can tell you, honestly, I bombed probably, I don't know, like 90% of my dance calls for college. I didn't, for my Pace, for my Pace dance call, I showed up, and I had just been at Pearl Studios doing another college audition, and I had left my leotard and my tights. So my mom had to give me her tank top, and I'm pretty sure I did the dance call in jeans and a tank top, and it was just atrocious. I mean, it was like the worst experience I've ever had. But I can tell you, honestly, I came in not really, I had some training, some foundation from when I was in 5th grade, but not much dance training, and I really couldn't hold my own in a dance call, and it really freaked me out. By the end of 4 years, I would call myself a frontline mover. And, I don't think I had, it took me a while to be like, okay, Anna, you're never going to be a dancer. You're never going to be doing high kicks and triple turns in an ensemble. That's just something that I had to come to terms with in my musical.
Well, maybe it's not that you can't, it's just that you don't want to. I think there's power. There's power in saying, I don't want to be a dancer in the ensemble. There's power in that. You can still take dance classes and work on your craft, but if you don't want to go to an ensemble dance call, you don't have to,
Yeah, that's something that you can choose. Yeah, I agree with that, Tristan.
Yeah.
So I would suggest at least getting in a little bit of dance, maybe your first year at Roosevelt, and seeing if you find that you enjoy it, and you find that you're seeing progress, and you find that maybe you want to do musical theater at Roosevelt, absolutely audition for it, because I'm pretty sure you can.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna message you, because I have some people that went to Roosevelt, and some people that are in Roosevelt right now, and we can connect.
Okay, thank you.
Marian, do you have any questions for them moving forward?
Well, I had a few questions about like when you're in college, how do you like get auditions for summer stock exam for example? Like how do you get auditions for that, like when you don't have an agent?
So so there's a lot of, I mean, Tristan can also jump into, but we have a lot of there's a lot of opportunities for summer stock calls. Like you have these huge cattle calls, like you have SETC, which you should absolutely look into because it's the Southern National Theater Conference, or Eastern, I don't know, Southeastern. And that's big cattle calls for a lot of Southern different summer stocks. And then you have your Midwest, which is another kind of cattle call style. Do you know what that is? It's like where you have 90 seconds and you kind of go in a line. You get up on a stage in front of a bunch of people that are in different theater companies, and you sing for a minute, and then you do a monologue for 30 seconds, or vice versa, or half and half. And then you get called back for those theater companies. So I did summer stock for 2 years in a row at the same summer stock, but I had to go through a similar process. So I did this thing called Straw Hats, which they hold at Pace. And it's kind of like the northern Midwestern summer stocks. So there's a lot of opportunities, and your professors will know about them, but also you kind of have to take your reins. You kind of have to take the reins on your own summer experience. Like I'm sure Tristan can attest to that too. I kind of had to sign up for Straw Hats on my own. I had to do the cattle call on my own, figure out my own pieces. When you get called back, you have to go through your own kind of separate readings and auditions and songs for those callbacks. So that's something that you can literally Google search. Like genuinely, I Google searched summer stock, auditions, and then it pops up. So it's like video auditions, you can submit self-tapes, and you can go to these calls too.
It's so interesting. So I did Straw Hats as well. Do they still do Straw Hats?
They do.
They do. Okay, they do. Because I heard different things, because now there's A1s. I never did A1s.
Yeah, A1s is kind of a tier above Straw Hats.
Okay, yeah, most of them will probably have EMC points in the A1s.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I remember auditioning when I was a freshman in the spring, and I was like, 90 seconds is not enough to show everything that I can do. No. But there's so much that you actually can see from 90 seconds of a person walking from the piano to the center stage, knowing when to start singing from the intro, your aura, your vibe, and what you know that you do well. As long as you're putting out what you do best, those 90 seconds, I mean, I've heard directors say within 15 seconds they know if the person's getting a call back because of how they handle themselves with grace, the vibrato, there's so much more than just talent, it's how you hone your talent. And so now it's like 90 seconds, okay, so a minute singing and 30 seconds in a monologue, like you're either going to choose the best material for yourself, or then it's like, okay, so you're not showing what you do best, so, but yeah, I did Straw Hats, and I did that 2 years in a row, and the first theater I worked at was in Meredith, New Hampshire, and the next one was at Forestburg, in Forestburg, New York. So, I think that's important just to know in the back of your mind of, hey, you know what? It's important for me to build my resume outside of college. And so that's summer stock is how I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Right. Can you, okay.
No, you're good.
You're
Good, Marianne. Good.
Okay. Can you talk little bit on like what to pick for college auditions and what we like put out there?
It's very tricky. I would say that I did not pick the right material. Looking back on it now, I wish that I had, because granted, I was really blessed with the amount of schools that I got into, but I think if I had chosen better material, I probably would have been seen as a different kind of type, but it's totally fine. As long as I guess, so this is hard. The college material is a hard question. If you can do an overdone song as perfectly, this is what people told me, because I wanted to do overdone stuff. And my coaches would be like, I had local coaches. I didn't, pay for anybody, but they were just kind of like, if you can do it as good as the person that has done it before, like like Sutton Foster doing I Know It's Today or something like that. If you can do it as well as Sutton Foster, then you can do this. So it's very important, I feel like, to choose what you do best. but also more obscure pieces, because they're gonna see probably the same thing like over and over again, and they want something fresh and something new. But it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same way you do, Anna. I don't think that
I'm like really
I don't think that I don't think I really knew myself when I was
I agree with that too.
17. I don't think I knew. I was so wrapped up in what they want to see and hear and what should I do. And it's just a different mentality when you go through 4 years of college, and then you're like, oh, this is what I know about myself, and this is how I can sing and all of this stuff. So
Yeah.
I remember actually I had seen Jersey Boys, and Drew Gelling, who played Bob Gaudio at the time, I was obsessed with him. And I was starting my college auditions, and I said, I'm going to all of these auditions, like, please, is there any advice? He had gone to Carnegie Mellon. I think I said I was auditioning for Carnegie or something. And he was like, just be yourself. I was like, what does that mean, be myself? I don't know what that means.
That's the thing they'll say across the board.
And I hear that all the time now, be myself. Just but that goes back to my friend who got into Carnegie. She wore a jean skirt and cowboy boots. That's why I kept saying, like, if that works for you, that works for you. I mean, think about it. Think about all the jewel tone dresses coming in and auditioning, and you're number 4,000 in the audition room, and you walk in with cowboy boots and jeans. If that's your vibe, then that's your, I'm not saying go out and do that. I'm just saying that you have to choose material that speaks to you, because at the end of the day, you're the one performing it. It's not for anyone else. It's how you connect to the material. So that I think I sang When Did I Fall in Love? And I remember at that point, I loved that song. The nuances of discovering, oh my gosh, I didn't feel this way, and now I do. When did I fall in love? So songs that speak to you right now, and circumstances that speak to you right now. So as a 17-year-old falling in love or being in love, that's normal. If you're singing a song from Next to Normal as the mother going through a mental breakdown, that might not be the correct time or place. So you really just have to connect with, okay, what I am putting out into the world is true to myself, and that's really all I can say, because it's so up to you, and you're the only one in that room, you're the only one who's going to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
That's all I got, because they're tough. There's no
It's tough, but also consulting people that have been through the process. If you email me and you're like, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. These are kind of like my 3 selections that I'm kind of perusing, and just consulting on even Jay. I'm sure Jay might.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why'd you laugh after you said that? I'm curious what's so funny about that.
Yeah.
I think I've worked with all of you a little bit on this, but yeah. I will say, just chipping in a little bit, like when it comes to, my background mostly is Shakespeare. I wasn't in music theater because, Heather, you say you can't dance. I couldn't sing or dance, and did not have the drive to learn, because especially when I got to Chicago. And I was really very much into Shakespeare. I got, and that ended up being more of my career. But with that, it is, everything that you're saying about musical theater applies to theater in general. Usually we say with Shakespeare, it's 2 lines. All I need to see is 2 lines to know if this person can do Shakespeare.
Wow.
And it doesn't take long, but we do, even in our award show, and Tristan, I know these 3 from our award show. That's how I met all 3 of them. I always tell them eventually that, from the second you walk in the door, it's the way you hand your resume or your application in, and how comfortable do you seem? And, we always hear the whole, and you guys are all past this, but I'll say this for anybody else who might be watching, that the people who come in and they tell you how terrified they are, and oh my God, I'm so nervous, and they're doing all this, and it's kind of cute, but at the same time I'm like, well, you're going to go from here to a stage in a theater with 700 people, and if you're terrified right now,
Yeah.
So It's that kind of stuff. It is really important. I mean, it's the whole audition to me, and I'm sure it is to you all as well. But that being said, there are flaws that are forgiven. If someone comes in and they look like a nightmare, and then they open their mouth, and you're like, oh, wow, this is unique and different. It is that unique thing that I think that we're all looking for. But Heather, I'm sorry, we have about 5 minutes. Heather, did you have a question, or did they answer your question?
I don't even remember what it was. Wait. Okay. Have you guys done like jobs while in college, like during the week type of jobs?
Are you talking about like a restaurant job?
Oh, no.
You're talking about like legitimate acting jobs.
Yeah, like acting jobs, because we're allowed to. It just, we have to like run it by people, but a lot of people have told me like just don't ask them, just do it if it's not conflicting, and like you can handle it. But how has that been for you guys if you've done it?
The only acting jobs that I've done like during school, I've done Saturday Night Live a couple times, but that's kind of one of those things where I say like, hey, I booked Saturday Night Live, I'm not gonna be in class on Friday. And so that was like something that they're like, great, so I mean, however, I've had a lot of people that have auditioned outside of the school, didn't tell the heads of the department, and then they ended up like booking an off-Broadway show, and then they have to like come back and be like, hey, so I mean, depending on what job you book, I mean, I think it's very beneficial to focus on your training during school. However, if something comes up and it's perfect for you, and you think to yourself like, I'm never gonna have an opportunity like this, to play this or to do this, they're doing like this really cool production of Carrie, and you're like, I have to do this, then yeah, like audition for it, have that experience and do it. But I will say that there are a ton of opportunities in the summer, and a lot of opportunities where you will be able to perform that is outside of the school year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just like there's just like the balance between like getting like your career started while you're young, and then like getting your training that you're like the traditional like 4 years of college thing. Like I'm just like somewhere in the middle, but not too like, I don't want to like drop out, like it's not the goal. So
yeah.
It's not the goal.
Syracuse is connected with the Syracuse stage, which is a LORT theater, and they're completely connected, so everyone knows everyone who's cast in the shows. And actually rehearsals would start at 4:00, and so everyone who was in the show would finish at 4 and then go do rehearsals. So that's how I racked up all my EMC points. But I do remember I auditioned, and I got Goodspeed. It's a theater in Connecticut, and they were offering me my equity card. I was going to play Kim in Bye Bye Birdie. And the show ran 2 weeks into the fall semester of senior year. And 2 weeks, I mean, we're talking, if the rule was if you miss 3 classes, you fail, or whatever it was, or you get down a grade every 3 classes. And I said, but in that case, I was going to be joining the Actors Union, like something invaluable that I wouldn't have gotten if I missed that experience. So I said to my professor, I will be gone for 2 weeks. And can we work this out? And so they were so wonderful, and they totally understood what an incredible opportunity it was. Now, if it was a month at a regional theater where I wasn't even getting EMC points, maybe that's not the best sacrifice, school for a month, or, getting $100 a week at a regional gig, like that doesn't really do anything. You have to pick and choose, obviously, but I think it was understood the incredible opportunity I had at hand. It was also a little bit more complicated because I was in the fall semester show, and I would be missing 2 weeks of rehearsals for that show. But I held myself accountable, and I said, I will be memorized when I come to rehearsal 2 weeks late. And I was. And it was really, really difficult, but in the real world, I always was like, okay, in the real world, I'll have 7 pages of sides given to me 2 days before the audition. How am I going to handle it? You know? But I think it's difficult to have an acting job during school, but I think it's doable if, you know, when there's a will, there's a way. And if it's worth it, you'll get it done. So yeah, but it's not really normal, I would say, to like, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so we got a couple minutes left. Let's just, we'll go back around one more time. And what I want, if you guys don't mind, is just for all of you to kind of just give us one piece of advice for whatever current stage of your career you are in. Just one piece of advice that has led to, because you all, first, I mean, I'll tell you this off camera as well. I'm huge fans of all 4 of you. I know you all differently, but I'm big fans. And you all are highly successful and you're all highly talented. So what is it that you want to share with someone who's trying to become more like you? If you can just say one thing. We'll go with Marian first. We'll go back to youngest to oldest. Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Well, what I've learned over the years is just that every year you can grow more and get advice from so many other people, just like I am still now. And just the people you meet in your life can impact you so much. And just like in your acting and singing career, like not only the people that are experienced in that, like in those like walks of life, but also the people that like your teachers and like your academic career and stuff can influence that, like your artistic career.
That's great. Heather?
I think I would tell anyone, like, especially who's like going into audition for like anything, like, you know, like school theater, outside of school theater, like locally, or like college, which was like my big thing this year. Like, you don't have to compare yourself to people the way you think you should. Like, you have something special and you don't need to think, oh, I should have done this dance class. What if I didn't quit dance when I was in the 5th grade? Like, I would be perfect. Like, you're perfect in your own way, and that's what makes you stand out. So, yeah.
Okay. Anna?
It is what I've learned these 4 years at school is it is very, very important to not only love yourself as a performer, but to love yourself as a human. It doesn't matter necessarily about talent. It matters about hard work and determination and passion. You could be the most talented one in the room, but somebody who works harder and has been told by other professionals that they work really hard in the business may book it over you just because, you know, they've seen that. So it is who you are as a person and who you are as a performer, and don't really let those identities kind of become too intertwined.
That's great. Yeah. All right, Tristan.
I would just say, and it's something I'm working on myself continuously, is just setting yourself up for success, preparing yourself, be prepared to be lucky. I'll never forget my professor told me that, be prepared to be lucky. So maybe that means looking at shows that you think you're well suited for and preparing the audition material before you get the audition. You know, however long, let's say Frozen right now on Broadway. If you're already looking at the audition material, or if you're already practicing the song, when the appointment comes in the night before, you don't even have to blink. And you're not dealing with your own thoughts of, oh my God, I don't know this material, blah, blah, blah. It's just, hey, I prepared this already, you know, and so you're setting yourself up to be lucky. You know, I don't think there's a lot of lucky performers on Broadway because they are so hardworking, like Anna said. They're on themselves 24/7. So it's something I'm working on too. It's very hard.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And the business is always changing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's the other thing, being in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you have to be persistent and be out there to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to play to win.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, we will say goodbye off recording, but just for now, we'll sign off and say, I just want to say thank you to all 4 of you for such great advice. I actually just really enjoyed sitting and hearing you all talk. and banter around from a guy who's not in the musical theater industry. It's so very fascinating. And it's also very similar to any type of performance. And I think still everything you're saying is very important to life in general. I mean, all those bits of advice that you have, that applies if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or anything else. So I think it was wonderful. So thank you all very much. Hold on, let me stop recording and then we can say our byes.